Hello, everyone. What follows is a selection of recent discussions from the Chinese internet over the past couple of days about the Nexperia incident. We've chosen comments that are relatively rational, leaving out the purely nationalistic or emotional ones. On November 3, 2025, at Airweight 45, an online discussion among Chinese netizens turned to the Netherlands' refusal to apologize while still seeking reconciliation. A user named Deep Blue shares that he has spoken with several locals in the Netherlands, and their attitudes seem consistent with what has appeared publicly. He explains that although China acquired Nexperia, many in the Netherlands emphasize that the company remains a Dutch entity, registered locally. To them, it is like a foreign investor buying a Chinese company in China. The firm still operates on local soil and must follow local laws. Another commenter, Global View, adds that China has been gradually shifting production and technology away from the Netherlands. In his words, this trend is already harming local workers and could eventually lead to widespread job losses once the transfer is complete. That, he says, is the real reason the Dutch government felt compelled to intervene. He continues, noting that many of Nexperia's patents are supposed to be used only for local manufacturing. Yet, he guesses those rules have been bent or even ignored. That, he reasons, is why the government directly dismissed the chief executive. As Deep Blue puts it, the Dutch side is unlikely to apologize. He suspects there are details and actions by China that are not visible in the mainstream news. How the story ends, he concludes, depends entirely on how far the negotiations can go. Other users join in, saying this episode will have long-lasting effects across foreign technology firms. It will make acquisitions or investments by Chinese capital much more difficult. Seeker 1989 then offers a personal take. He says he does not think the rabbit, meaning the nickname of China extensively on Chinese internet, is as harmless as it looks. Reaching today's level of development, he argues, did not come from timidity or staying in one lane. Some actions were bound to touch nerves in Europe and the United States. But no matter what happens, he writes, my support is with my country. On November 2nd, 2025, at 15:10, another thread appears online, this time asking what outcome awaits Nexperia after the Dutch government's intervention. A user called Takeover replies that the truth is harsh. A once global, highly efficient operation has already been broken, and in ways that cannot be undone. He says Nexperia China has not really won. Front-end process technology remains centered in Europe, while China mainly handles packaging and testing. Some users argue that front-end processes are mature and easy to relocate, but Takeover disagrees. He says process details and certification credentials are not things you can simply ship across a border. He offers an analogy. Everyone has flour, ingredients, and ovens, but the bread still tastes different. Small tweaks in the recipe lead to a different product. He adds, think of champagne and ordinary sparkling wine. They share the same basic principles and materials. Yet you still can't reproduce champagne outside its region. Another commenter, Logic Tree, believes Nexperia China could someday grow into a major company, just as Merck & Co. became separate giants. But he admits that both sides are now in deep trouble. If either one becomes a major player in the future, it will be because of the hard work that starts now, not because of what has happened today. He concludes that even if the Dutch action were somehow reversed, the damage is already done. The supply chain has been disrupted and trust has collapsed. Downstream customers will no longer treat Nexperia as reliable. They will look for second and third sources. In his words, Nexperia has hurt itself. In the short term, Logic Tree predicts that both sides may resume limited cooperation to stabilize supply. But in the long term, the European arm will again operate independently. Future Lens wraps up the thread with a broader reflection. He says we do not live in a world where one clever move wins the day. Semiconductor manufacturing demands massive capital and the combined effort and wisdom of countless people. He adds that although this episode began in the Netherlands, its consequences will be felt across the European Union. And for Europe, he says, the only practical option now is to stand together. His final line reads, The route of acquiring technology through cross-border mergers is now blocked. Strategic ambiguity is gone. We are heading toward a world of divided technology trees and regionalized supply chains. Finally, several users mention an unverified rumor circulating online. According to it, starting December 1st, China may impose targeted restrictions on rare earth exports to the Dutch company ASML. Many believe this could be a precise act of retaliation for the Nexperia incident. However, this information remains unconfirmed yet. If this turns out to be true, then the Netherlands and its semiconductor industry will face a very painful downfall. Here is our commentary. We are increasingly pessimistic about the future of globalization. The version of globalization we once knew has in many ways already been buried. From now on, we are likely to see more and more incidents like the Nexperia case, each one further breaking apart global supply chains and accelerating economic decoupling. The atmosphere today feels hauntingly similar to the years leading up to the Second World War, when mistrust, protectionism, and geopolitical rivalries quietly reshaped the world order.